So then we go into a point system. With the signs of the zodiac, there's 14 points. We count 2 points for the sun, 2 points for the moon, and 1 point for each of the planets, and 1 point for the ascendant and the midheaven. This is our counting system, that's how we count them. Okay, so then you count, you go look around your chart, you count daylight is greater, how many points, nighttime is greater, how many points, and you just put the points down, and then you have to, I have these worked out, and you'll see how you do it. So you can use these sheets and just as word sheets and come in and just add factors to it and your comments of how it works to it. And I have a spreadsheet that allows you to enter the points for each sign, and then it breaks down all of the totals for all of these. But you should be able to do these in your head anyways. So how many points daylight is greater? How many points nighttime is greater? So they could be 7 and 7. They could be 8 and 6. They could be 9 and 5. They could be 10 and 4. They could be 14 points, 1 and 0 in the other. And these make very different perceptions. This is counting all the planets and everything where they are in the signs. So we see we can make a distinction where life is moving towards more freedom or towards more responsibility. Then we do the same thing with day. First we do daylight is greater, nighttime is greater. Then we have the nighttime increase, daylight increasing, nighttime increasing. We see how many points in each of those. Then we see how many points in the seasons, how many masculine signs, how many feminine signs, whether we project more or reflect more. Then we do this is an order different than I would do it. So here they put the elements. I tend to do the modes first. Now, it's changed over the years, but really you can do here it's got the elements. We're going to do the modes first, cardinal, fixed, mutable, then earth, air, fire, then the elements. And you're going to see how many points in each of these from your whole chart. And you'll see which ones are generally accentuated. Looking at the whole chart and all the points, you see it. Then you can then how many times do rulerships get accentuated? How many signs do they influence? By where the planets are. So this is our first 10 steps. Not hard, it doesn't take long to calculate. If you just calculate in your head, you should be able to do this in 5 minutes, if that, just counting them out. And there's a form. Oh, 1 second, let me see if I can find the form. The form, it isn't in my sheets. I don't think it's in the downloads. Okay, yeah. So there's a section on your file where it says handouts. And on the right-hand side, you should download these because there's new definitions of pattern types, moon phases, and there've been corrections and edits on it. So these have been adjusted. The natal point interpretation master, that's an Excel file that will let you enter in the data and get all these point totals. And then there's the 30 steps for interpretation. Okay, which is what we're looking at right now. So you should be able to download those and get those. So after we go through 10 the rulerships, we're going to go through the houses. How many points above the horizon? How many points below? How many in the object? How much is my energy going into the outer world, or how much into the subjective world? How much momentum? How much is rising? How much is setting? Then you see the quadrants of intuition, feeling, sensation, and thinking, and which ones are the strongest. Then you have again, in this form, it has the elements first and then the modes, and I tend to like the modes first. So these should be angular succeedent first, dynamic being, having and maintaining, knowing and understanding for the angular, for the modes. And then the elemental, the houses of self, concern, relationships, and rewards. Or the fire, the earth, the air, and the water houses. Okay, so those are our first 15 steps. They come from these point totals. Simply that. And that gives you an overview of the totals and the bunches, how things pile up. if there's stelliums, if there's groupings, it lets these groupings stand up so you can see them. It gives you an overview of general eccentricities or balances. Then there's the number 16s to 25 is one for each planet. You take the planet, you do all the categories of the signs, all the categories of the houses, all the aspects, and then you see by putting them together, you see how they all merge and affect each other. So you've already done, having done the worksheets at level 2, 3, and 4, the signs, the houses, and the aspects, you've done what's required for putting these together. So you just organize these in order: signs, houses, planets for the moon, aspects for the moon. You do it for each planet. Okay, and then the last 5 steps, we look at the signs and the aspects to the IC, to the ascendant, to the MC, and to the descendant. So their angles are not in the houses, they're the edges of the houses. So that we see the quadrants, we see these sensitive points. They're very important. So we look at the signs and the categories and the aspects made to it. So we've really already done the signs to this. We have the angles and the signs, but we haven't done the, yes, and we have the angles to the aspects. So we've done, really, these just have to be clipped together for this too, for the 6, 7, 8, 29. What we haven't done, which is the last point, 30, is the signs on the house cusps with what house the ruler is in. So you have all the main categories of the signs, but they're read for each house cusp, the second house cusp of money. Then you see whether it's daylight grade or nighttime grade, you see all the factors coming in, and then you see the ruler of that sign. So you get the ruler of the house cusp. Then you look to see what house that ruler is in. So you see that sign and that ruler is watching the house cusp, but there's a second level of understanding. Oh, I'm specially attached. That planet is working through this house, and that planetary position is going to have effect on my money house or my relationship house or my communication house, like that. So these are the factors we're going to do. So it's 30 factors. To do them all thoroughly, even to talk about it, it's too much to talk about in an hour or two. It's just too much to do. There's too much information to assume you can do everything in a few minutes, maybe in an hour or so. What you do is you organize it all like this, and you go through it, and you're going through layers or steps of understanding, and it starts coming together. This is, once you've done this, you know you've touched all the main factors in the chart. Then there's many other techniques, many systems to drop other sensitive points, other influences, other things, but these are the main ones. If something major or main is, it's there. On subtler levels, there may be other things to be interested to follow through, but they're going to be more difficult to use to interpret to someone else. These ones are very reliable and viable. So, yeah, this is our 30 steps. So I'm going to do is I have this PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to go through all the steps just with this. So we've gone through, I'm just going to use my chart. You've put up with me this long. So it's, we can use my chart and you get to see it. And I've done all these steps. So I just have all the graphics organized this way. So okay, one of the first things I do when you get the computer printout, on here, I've highlighted, I've made bolder sections for the signs and put them around, and I've made the ascendant and the ascendant, descendant, the MCIC line stronger. I've highlighted those. I've gone and made a darker line for those. I've shaded the half of the first 6 houses, the half below the horizon in the middle. I've shaded that in for the part below the horizon. So we can see the chart, the signs, the planets, and the houses. Then for all the aspects, when you do the chart, there's a lot of aspects put on it usually. And I tend to write out, I tend to draw in the aspects If there's a square, I put a red line on it over the line so it stands out. So they stand out. So I use a colored pencil or I use Photoshop or just put the line in color. And then I put the squares. The squares are in the trines, the sextiles. And they'll be however they are in your chart. But this is how I touch up a chart before I work with it. Because the chart is too bland when you just get a computer print. It has little colors, but not enough to stand out. That's easy to work with. This sets up your material. So you've got a chart that's easy to work with and you can read quite quickly. Okay, so this is our main factor. On the bottom, on the left here on this chart form, it has all the planetary positions and the house positions. So if something like your Saturn's looks right on the edge of the 12th chart, 12th house, you look down and you see, look for Saturn, you see it's actually in the 12th house. Okay, so this is just the preparation for every chart. Like even if you just have the printout and you color it up so you can see it like this, it makes it so much easier. When you go back, you got the main things right there in front of you at any time. Okay, and the signs in these charts, the signs are the 30-degree divisions, and the houses are different sizes using these Splitzian houses as we do. Each house cusp is the horizon, is the second house cusp is the horizon 2 hours later, third house cusp 2 hours after that. So each one is a 2-hour division by time. But we're also looking at the space of the horizon, what's above us, what's below it, and where the planets are. So shading, drawing a solid line across on the ascendant, descendant, solid line on the MCIC, and then shading the half of the circle below the horizon. That sets up the houses to the signs. You can see them easily. Then you got the planets where they are, and you just draw the major aspects, not the minor aspects, just the major aspects. And it's the main things are told right there. The minor aspects, we'll get to these things at a level 8, but right now this is enough to work with. Then the second sheet you'll be getting these 2 sheets for each person. So in the whoops, I'm going to have to send them to you because they didn't come in this thing. I'll have to send you for next week. After the class, I'll send you 2 things to send you. I have to send you the signs of the house cusp because it wouldn't accept zip files in the handouts here, and I have to send you the charts for next week. Okay. Second sheet is our Axpectarian, and it gives you the main aspects on the left-hand side, but on the top right-hand side, it gives you the exact degrees and minutes of every aspect. So you can always work with the aspects and see what the degree and minute is. So if you're looking for the moon phase, you're going to look at the sun and the moon, you're going to see the exact moon phase. In this case, 93 degrees, 30 minutes. And from there, you can begin to figure out which moon phase it is. And you can look it up. So really, that's there for the moon phases. But the chart usually includes the aspects on it already. We can just highlight them. Okay. So this is just the prep work to get the chart looking the way you want it and to be able to, you can see in this chart, the sun down here in Libra, and it's red line to moon in Cancer. It's square, moon in Cancer. And we can calculate how many degrees apart it is, but the aspect rating just tells you right away, 93:30 between the sun and moon. Really useful. So get used to using this to get these first steps.